Hello and good day, everyone, or good night, depending on what time of day it is where you're at. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. We got two areas of potential development here. One right where Alberto just formed a couple days ago, and the other right off the coast of the southeast here, which is Invest 92L. We'll be watching these two systems over the weekend to see just how strong they could actually become, and we'll be looking at across the rest of the tropics as well to see how much this heat will continue to build and how much severe weather could we be talking about. Let's get into it. And don't forget, if you haven't watched my Hurricane 2024 Outlook, it's a link in the description down below and at the end of this video. So looking at our European model here, and then we'll transition over towards the GFS model. So as we continue to go out here in time, you can see what's going on in the tropics. Central America is just plastered here with tremendous amount of tropical moisture. This is our area. Look at this through day 7, 50% chance. Of course, there is Invest 92L. We have a 40% chance all the way from days 2 through 7 here. That's going to be being steered, both of these systems actually, being steered by this area of high pressure just off the U.S. East Coast here. And we'll continue to watch this as it pushes our systems more towards the northwest here around the periphery of this high pressure system. So look at, as we go out here in time, this does start to look more impressive towards 11 p.m. on Friday evening here, Friday night. So look at that. It starts to come together. Could we actually have a tropical storm form out of this? Well, it's looking most impressive here on this run of the European model. Actually, there is post-tropical Alberto, right, stuck right in the middle of the Mexican mountains here. But look at this. As we go out in time, landfall for this system would be 8 p.m. on the 22nd. So you're looking at Saturday night. Plenty of moisture here around the Yucatan. And what's going on here with Invest 92L? Well, you see this system on Friday evening into Saturday. It does approach Florida here. And as we go out here in time, it does look like it's going to, push ashore sometime late Saturday, early Sunday here into southeastern Georgia and northeast Florida. And then look at this. It's kind of just, at this point, a remnant low. And then it tries to, form and move northeast here. And there it is, off the coast by the 25th. It looks like the tail end of a front that it's adjoining with here around this high pressure system. And it kind of just hangs out for a while up here north of Bermuda. And our system here into the Western Caribbean, into the Gulf, as we head towards the 23rd into the 24th, you can see it heading inland, unfortunately, giving many of the areas in Mexico that just saw tremendous rain from Alberto inland here. We're going to see some uptick of rain here for South Texas, but it's not going to be like tremendous. We'll see maximum of a couple inches. Now, let's go out through the rest of the tropics here. Let's see what's going on. You can see through at least the weekend here, aside from Invest 92L and our tropical disturbance there in the Western Gulf. You see, the intertropical convergence zone is really beginning to kick up here. And as we continue to go out here through next week, we can really start to see things come together. A surge of tropical moisture all the way from the Lesser Antilles through Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. It's all being steered by this big high pressure system that's in control. And that's just going to continue to push these tropical systems, unfortunately, towards land. And any one of these could develop this time of year. Look at towards the 25th. There's actually two in particular, one near Jamaica and then a really big one near Trinidad, Tobago here and Grenada here. So these are systems that we're going to have to closely watch. There's a big one here coming off the Cape Verde Islands as well. And watch this as we continue to kick it out here in time. This just starts to look really nasty. Look at the Caribbean here and the ITCZ. We're looking really bad. And even where we've been getting a lot of development here in the Bay of Campeche, it seems like a broken record. Another potential system here towards the 27th into the 28th. But look at this. Yeah, we really start to crank out these areas of low pressure. Another big wave. Look at this. You can just see them lining up here, way out here into the Atlantic. And as we go for our last couple frames here, there it is. You can see this is the last day of June. These are some pretty intense tropical waves. All right, so as we take a look at our GFS model here, this run, and of course, wow, we just bumped it up to 60% chance. Here on look at this. This is by Saturday morning. This is looking much more impressive here on the GFS. Could this actually be our next tropical storm? It is becoming, it's borderline possibility at this point. Would not be surprised. Unfortunately, it would follow a very similar path, although it is a smaller circulation, so it's likely to have a little less impact, still brushing parts of South Texas with some feeder bands here, and unfortunately inundating the same areas over again. Now, as we head into our Invest 92L system, here it is, as we head throughout Thursday night into Friday. GFS is a little more progressive with bringing it on shore Friday night. There you can see some moisture developing here over the Florida Peninsula. It's a bit further to the south, but it does begin to get picked up a little bit. And that's the area we'd be watching off of North Carolina for even more development. And then look at this. The GFS actually has another tropical wave here just northeast of the Bahamas that we'll have to keep an eye on here. So as we go out here in time, you can see the intertropical convergence zone is really going to ramp up here. And how is our sea surface temperatures doing? We've cooled down just slightly here in the Gulf, if you can call that much colder. But look at the MDR here into the Eastern Caribbean. This is a bit troubling. But look at this. This is some great news out here by the Cape Verdes. The Saharan dust is actually doing its job. But look at this big surge of warmth here across parts of the western and north Atlantic here. So things are tropical tidbits here. If we take a look at Invest 92L, you can see the intensity scale here, keeping it mostly below that tropical storm line until about hour 144 to 168, where some of the models start to hint that this could bump up towards tropical storm status. But we're talking, you know, close to pretty much a week here. And here's our model plot here. You can see, look at this. It's a very tight range. That bend in the models here, you know, this bringing it to northeast Florida, southeastern Georgia, and then bending it northeastward. That intensity scale would be increasing this over the Atlantic, so well off of the East Coast. All right, so look at the GFS here. There's our tropical moisture pushing into the Gulf of Mexico right around Saturday, the 22nd into the 24th here. Look at that. That's with our next tropical wave. And then look at that surge of moisture here. It's kind of caught between dry air scenarios here in Invest 92L, so that's why I'm not extremely impressed with this system, but nevertheless, we'll watch it here. Now, as we go out here in time, there'll be another tropical wave behind it. You can see that surge of moisture here towards Tuesday, the 25th. And as we continue throughout the week, we got to watch these low pressure systems forming on the tail end of these fronts. That's where we could start to see, you know, some potential development, but it's pretty fast moving at this point. As we head over to the trusty Euro model, you can see as we continue throughout Friday into Saturday, our next tropical disturbance begins to emerge in the Bay of Campeche here. Plenty of tropical moisture. Also right there is Invest 92L. Now, the intertropical convergence zone is being squelched a little by the Saharan dust. But look at this, as we continue to go out here in time, you can see through Monday, June 24th here. There's the East Coast. And then, of course, here's Central America. That's where you have all the tropical moisture bottled up. Intertropical convergence zone is a little pushed to the south here by our Saharan dust. So far, things are working out good here for, you know, keeping tropical development, at least a lid on it in the short term. But look at this. This is a big area of tropical moisture here, Wednesday, June 26th here. Things are really ticking up here, southeast of Trinidad, Tobago. And look at the Caribbean here. It's really pummeling with lots of moisture. Lots of fronts here along the U.S. East Coast that we'll have to keep an eye on for potential development as well. But look at this high pressure system that builds in. That'll be that next major heat wave that really settles in across the east. So let's look at our numbers here for the CFS weekly. You can see, of course, the Western Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico really heating up here with moisture. But watch as we go out here in time. We head through the end of June, early July, you start to see out here the intertropical convergence zone pushing towards Florida and the Bahamas here, still continuing here, Central America getting some beneficial rains. But there it is. This is right around July 11th here. Look at this. This is quite a surge of moisture. And as we continue to go out here in time, you can see through the end of July, beginning of August, it's just solidifying to be, you know, quite a robust tropical wave season out here. So let's take a look at the CANSIPS model as we head into July. Yeah, this model is still going bonkers in July if we average everything out. Even up the East Coast here, we'll have to keep an eye on that into August as well. Look at these precipitation maximum, just consolidating for September. So this could be probably the worst month historically for hurricane season. October, we kind of pushed those totals towards drier here in North America. But look at that, just much wetter here across the Caribbean. And when you're starting to get into your dry season here, it's still hinting that we're looking at tropical systems even into December here. So your rainfall here across the Caribbean, going to be really interesting from the Yucatan, Central America, Belize. Yeah, you're going to be topping 100 millimeters easily here, 3.5, 4.5 inches of rain. We start to get some rain here towards Saturday and Sunday here in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. You can see it here blossoming into all the way through the 30th here. Look at this. The Cayman Islands and Jamaica through this time period could see anywhere from 90 to as much as 125 millimeters of rain. That's getting us into a healthy 3 to 5 inches. Even here into the northwestern Bahamas, this is where we could be seeing, 60 to 90 millimeters. Not too shabby with 2.5 to about 3.5 inches of rain. And let's head over to the Eastern Caribbean here. Yeah, things are pretty quiet through the rest of the week until we get to about Sunday and Monday. We start to see those tropical wave action really start to increase here. Anywhere from 30 to 50 millimeter plus here, about half to as much as an inch of rain. And then look at that as we head through Sunday, June 30th. Look at how the surge of tropical moisture across Trinidad, Tobago, these Lesser Antilles, closer to 90 to 110 millimeters. That's getting you up towards 3 to 4 inches. And look at here in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, we actually are pushing towards that 70 to 90 millimeter mark here. So if we continue here with our HRRR future radar here, you can see what's going on. We're going to be watching our Invest 92L system here and our other tropical disturbance that's going to be emerging from the Yucatan Peninsula into the Bay of Campeche here in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Now you can see, look at all that rainfall with Tropical Storm Alberto is way off here into North Mexico and extreme western Texas here. You still have these feeder bands all the way from Bahamas here, and it's crazy. You actually saw coastal flooding here as far east, northeast as Alabama and Mississippi. That is crazy. But look at this. High pressure continuing across the east. We're, bringing those storms down a level here overnight into the early morning hours. I'll focus on Invest 92L first here. There's that circulation. It looks like it's going to be coming ashore towards, say, right around overnight hours. It's kind of like in this area. It does not look overly impressive, but it does start to try to spin up towards 2 p.m. on Saturday. So I think it'll try to chug its way on shore somewhere in this area. We get into Saturday afternoon. So that seems about right. Lots of showers and thunderstorm action here across the Bahamas with it on the southern end of this system. Even into Texas here, we're going to be watching that possibility here as we get later on into Friday night and Saturday. Look at this. Yeah, showers and thunderstorms increasing here from the south. I don't think this one is going to be as strong as Tropical Storm Alberto, though, but nevertheless, we'll watch it here. It's going to, especially from Corpus Christi on southward to Brownsville, and then the Mexican coastline here. Now, as we watch those storms slowly fade off into the sunset, as we get through the overnight hours, you'll be seeing some stronger storms here into New England and southeast Canada. But look at that. We clear it out 11 a.m. on Friday. Look what we start to see. We start to see some development here into northern New York there, St. Lawrence region, Tug Hill, Adirondacks. But look what starts to form. This is 4 p.m. Let me zoom in here. Even some stray cells over towards Michigan and Ohio you'll have to watch out. But look at these in particular. 2 potential complexes could develop here. One in the southern tier of New York, north central Pennsylvania, and then over here into New England, where dynamics seem to be pretty decent for some significant showers and thunderstorm development, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Yeah, it could be very stormy for your Friday night and evening plans here, and that kind of wanes here by 2 a.m. And then look it out here, overnight Friday night. Yeah, this is where the severe weather really gets cranking overnight. And as we continue to go out here in time, the last couple frames, you can see those continue throughout the night into the afternoon hours on Saturday. And we're looking for a very stormy scenario setting up here from the Midwest all the way through the eastern lakes here. So synoptically here on our European model, let's take a look here. We'll pick up where the HRRR model left off as we head throughout the rest of your weekend here, getting right into Saturday. We'll progress it to later in the day. There it is. We could be looking at some stormy conditions. Actually, let me just back that up just slightly. There it is, 5 p.m. on Saturday. You can see where our low pressure is. So it's actually drying out a bit here into the Ohio Valley. Has been dry as of late because look what's been happening. This high pressure system's been bumping up our ring of fire here, and it's been in this zone, so to speak, keeping that heat and humidity just building. And unfortunately, you haven't had much relief. But relief may be on the way here as we head into the 23rd. Yeah, we still have one more very hot day Sunday, but look what's knocking on your door here in the Ohio Valley and the Eastern Great Lakes. By 11 a.m., we start to bring those showers and thunderstorms on, and look at that. We could be looking at a tremendous amount of storminess here as we head into early Monday morning as well. Look at that. That moves to the east there, and then we get another system, a reinforcing shot of some cooler air. Let's hope here. There it is. Kind of breaks apart by the 26th into the 27th. We start to see evidence that we see a tropical amount of moisture here along the Gulf Coast, and then up here into the Northeast, our next system moving through, and then another building severe weather event out here into the Plain States, and look at there. We have a moisture surge here on the 27th here, all of the Southeast getting in on this, and then a severe weather outbreak here across the Southern Plains into the Southern Rockies there. So look at that, pivots towards the East Coast. It looks like things are getting pretty stormy out here just off the East Coast. That's a trend we'll have to keep an eye on out here. But as we go out here in time, you start to see evidence here of another super high building towards the end of the month. And you know it, there's that ring of fire pushing all those storms all the way up here into Canada. This ridge, unfortunately, hate to say this, could actually be stronger than the previous ridge because look how far north these storms are making it. So rainfall here, yeah, South Texas will continue to see increased rainfall through the weekend and the next week with that next tropical disturbance here. Also Invest 92L, whatever happens to this system, it will be putting Florida and parts of southeast Georgia here into the 2.5 to 4 inch plus rainfall totals here, and we're going to continue to rage that ring of fire here from the Midwest, the Northern Great Lakes, into parts of the Northeast with 2.5 to 5 inches likely. And John sending in his severe thunderstorms at City of Chattelbash train station on June 14th here. Take a look at this. You can actually hear the sound in the background as well. Lots of thunder to be had. And some very, very ominous clouds right off in the distance here. So look at that. You can hear the thunder in the background. And yeah, this was June 14th. So there's been a lot of severe weather as of late here, especially across portions of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. Nice captures there, John. So if we take a look at the upper air pattern, this Inferno ridge, it comes down a little bit towards Sunday into Monday. You see this little trough kicking through the lakes. It'll bring you a little bit of a break. However, as we get through, say, further next week into the following week, we get into, say, right around Sunday, the 30th. Look how this ridge max really starts to build again. And then as we continue to pick up here into July, yeah, we start to get a little bit more of an active weather pattern. Caution, though, this is the CFS. It's been known to flip-flop quite a bit, but that's interesting. I think we're going to really trend a bit more towards ridge here in the east. Unfortunately, that's going to be more heat waves and drier conditions. I just wanted to put this out here. The firecracker inferno is just raging across the country. This takes us through 6 to 10 days. Look at this. The only areas that are below average are the Pacific Northwest. And as we head through the first week, end of June into beginning of July, look at this. That heat's just going to build. So let's take a look at our Canadian weather here. What is going on up here in Canada? Well, let's take a look here. Actually, not a whole lot the next couple days. That's some good news. Kind of clears out here into eastern Canada, much of western and central Canada. There isn't a whole lot to talk about until we get unfortunately, here into the mid to latter part of the weekend. This is where we could see some strong thunderstorms across southern Ontario and Quebec. The good news is this is going to break the heat. Yes, you've been hot here into southeast Canada as well. Many of those high temperatures approaching and surpassing, the 30 degrees, 32 degrees Celsius, 34. This is just too much, getting into the 90s here. 90 degree Fahrenheit or more. Look at this. Yeah, it gets stormy, but it does get cooler too as we head through the 23rd into the 24th. Look at New Brunswick and Nova Scotia getting some beneficial rainfall here. And then look at this. Let me just zoom out. This is a pretty powerful low pressure system up towards Hudson Bay. Associated cold front, we could be seeing a severe weather outbreak here across parts of Ontario. That pivots towards Quebec towards the 25th. Look at that. High pressure building into western and central Canada. But we could be left with a tremendous amount of severe weather here as we head into the 26th. That is that proverbial ring of fire we'll be talking about here as that second big massive heat ridge builds in. And look at that. We just keep that. Look at that. That's a massive high building in across southeast Canada for the 28th into the 29th. It's actually pivoting a lot of these stronger storms well up north here into Ontario and Quebec. And look at this as we head to the end of the month. Things are really going to start to get stormy here across eastern Canada, but much drier out here in western Canada. So look at our rainfall here across parts of Canada. Much of Canada's dry except southeastern Canada. At least through the end of the month here, we take it right through June 30th. Look at that stripe of precipitation max here. 80 to as much as 125 millimeters. That's going to equate to about 3 to 5.5 inches of rain. And then as we get towards the end of the month, we'll start to increase activity here across the west and central provinces as well. So for the Western Pacific, I just haven't had anything to talk about out here other than monsoon moisture. This is an interesting little low. It's not really little, but it's right around Japan. But it's a synoptic low at this point. It's got a lot of monsoon moisture. There is this feature here, though, over here in the South China Sea towards the 23rd that it's been on my radar for a little bit. I don't expect it to develop into a typhoon or anything, but here's Vietnam, the coastal Vietnam, South China. You can see how this system really does start to blow up and lots of moisture with it. Heavy rain, flooding rain, it starts to spin north towards North Vietnam here. And then look at the Philippines. And Japan's kind of staying dry during this forecast period until we get to the 27th into the 28th, where we do start to see some interesting developments up here. These are colder core systems, though. They're not typhoons. But look at out here. The intertropical convergence zone does start to spin up a little bit more as we go out here in time. And as we just kick this to the last couple frames, yeah, I still don't really see any organized areas of tropical developments through the end of June. I got plenty more weather for you in just a moment, but take a look at my affiliate. Do you want some awesome maps? Check this out. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. So if we take a look at the heat and humidity that's just going to continue here through Friday, there is evidence that we could see a cool down here, even northern New England as well, 70s and lower 80s. But look at this, the heat is on across the east, continuing with those mid 90s in many locations, some areas getting into the upper 90s. And your Friday and your Saturday, look at this. Yeah, we're still dealing with mid to upper 90s here across parts of the Ohio Valley, Northeast, even parts of the lower Great Lakes here into the Plain States. Look at the Carolinas just baking into the upper 90s here. 101 there in Washington, D.C. into Sunday. Yeah, that heat is just building across the mid-Atlantic. Look at that. From New York City down through the Carolinas, Virginia, upper 90s to low 100s likely. But look what's happening here. There is a surge of some cooler air relative, here with the 80s and even some 70s here across the lakes here. Monday, 81 in Cleveland, 75 in Erie. So there is some relief on the way, but my fear is it's going to be short-lived because look at these triple-digit heat building behind this into Tuesday, and look at this. It just starts to push towards the northeast again. So could we be looking at a double heat wave here? It's quite possible. Look at, we're back into the 90s here for next Wednesday, June 26th. Extended outlook from hometown viewers. Bring them to the Scranton, suburbs, Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Friday, we'll see some showers and thunderstorms, especially between noon and 8 p.m. That's where we'll see a quarter to a half an inch. Some areas could see over an inch where you get the heaviest rainfall. Even there's a chance of some strong damaging wind, large hail, so watch out. Temperatures will still be in the 90s into Friday night. Showers and storms continuing to Saturday. We'll see a chance of showers and thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. Highs in the lower 90s into Sunday. Continuing to build into the mid-90s here. There's still a chance of afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms into Monday as well. But look at cooler into Tuesday. Enjoy it because it's going to bounce back up. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video. Subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button.